So Sprint just lit up its LTE network in 15 cities, which means that phones like the LG Viper are now officially and completely 4G phones. You can get LTE speeds. But there's a lot of LTE phones out there, like the LG Lucid, which is on Verizon. So you're thinking, okay, they're both budget friendly, $80 on contract, $50 on contract, LTE. Which one should I get? Which one should I go with? We're going to answer that question in this Dog Pounds. I'm Cindy from PhoneDog.com. Before we start, I have to say especially to our friends at Best Buy Mobile for sending us phones to add to our One Paw Bandit game. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile to buy a phone, you don't have to worry about rebates because the price on the tag is the price you pay. So thank you Best Buy Mobile for being so awesome. Thanks guys for watching this video. We're going to compare the LG Viper from Sprint and the LG Lucid from Verizon. So let's move on to performance. This is one of the biggest determining factors in trying to decide which phone to get. And that's performance, which one is better. They both actually have the same exact processors, a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S3 processor, and then they both have 1 gig of RAM. So honestly, performance has been about equal. I've noticed some lag here and there with both phones, but that's kind of to be expected. We'll do a couple of tests here just to give you guys an idea of maybe the differences between the two. But in my experience, they've both been about equal. I mentioned earlier having stock Android compared to a custom skin. That sometimes helps with performance, kind of helps speeds it up a little bit. But honestly, in comparing the two in everyday use, I haven't really noticed that much difference. They're both great performers. For the price, it'd be hard to find something better. Very little lag here and there. Pinch to zoom has been smooth. I'll show you the web browser in a minute. But we'll take a look at these tests and see what we get. Okay, so we'll see these results. And we've got 2,467 on the Lucid and 3,052 on the Viper, so kind of a big difference there. And we'll take a look at one more example. We'll do another benchmark. Okay, and then here the scores are a little different. The Viper is a little lower with 5,265, and the Lucid has 5,535. So a little different, but again, kind of evens out. Let's go over to the web browser and we'll load up PhoneDog.com. Now again, having a 4G connection, definitely an advantage over having a 3G connection, but still loaded pretty quickly on the Viper. I have new email. So you can see pinch to zoom, very smooth on the Lucid. Really no problems there. Zoom in. Load up an article, and wait for this to finish loading. Okay, so you can see, again, scrolling pretty smooth, and then pinch to zoom. So both of them are great, and I experienced, just minor lag here and there. Performance has been about equal. I can't say either one was really that much better than the other. So going to the back of the phones here, and let's talk about the camera. Again, both very similar here. 5 megapixel camera, autofocus, LED flash. They both capture 1080p HD video, and they both have a front-facing camera, VGA front-facing camera. You can see on both of them there. And I'll show you some sample pictures. Take a look at the usual shots, and honestly, they're about equal, which you can see, which is pretty much with a lot of aspects of both of these phones. They're very equal in a lot of ways, but to me, I don't know if it kind of seems like one of them is a little more clear than the other, or the colors look a little more natural. But that may just be me, trying to find some difference here. You can see the colors show up well, the detail looks pretty good with outside shots. Neither one of them really handle close-up shots very well. You can see it's pretty blurry, but and then once we go inside with low light settings, they both did, again, about the same. I did notice that details and the colors looked a little more natural on one of them, but You can see one here, kind of darker settings with the flash on. So you can kind of see the difference here. They actually both handled low light settings pretty well. I was kind of surprised, but they both kind of got a little grainy with some noise. But overall, camera performance, kind of impressive on both of them. Basically mediocre, but for the price, pretty good. But neither one was really better. Now, in capturing 1080p video, both of them were pretty disappointing. I will say that. Audio quality was decent, but video quality, both of them, I wouldn't really recommend using that for very much. But picture quality was pretty good. Now, again, on the back, you have the battery cover, and we'll also talk about memory. And they do both have a memory card slot, obviously, except the Viper ships with a 4 GB micro SD card. It's right here. And so you get 4 gigs in addition to the 4 gigs of internal memory. So you get total 8 GB, and then you can use a card up to 32 GB in size. Whereas the Lucid, you get 8 GB of internal memory, but you don't get an SD card. So when you factor everything together of what you get out of the box, it's the same, because 4 plus 4 is 8, but you still get 8 with this one. So again, it's about the same, but it's nice having a card, I guess, if you prefer having that as opposed to one that doesn't ship with a card. Now, there are a lot more pre-installed apps on the Lucid, again, because it does have the custom skin, whereas there aren't as many on the LG Viper. So with all those pre-installed apps, you only have about 5 gigs available to use. So it actually is still a little bit more memory with the Viper, plus the card means that there's no apps on that, so it's all clear. So you do get slightly more memory with the LG Viper. Battery, they both have a 1700 milliamp hour battery. Again, not having a solid, well, not having a 4G connection at all. Battery life, I can't really give definitive results, just because that's going to depend on if you have a 4G connection in your area or if you don't. Obviously, if you don't have a 4G connection, battery life is going to be pretty good, and that's what it was for me. I could easily get through a full day, maybe even a day and a half if I managed it correctly. On the LG Lucid, I also got pretty good battery life, but again, it just wasn't as good having a 4G connection. It definitely ran down much faster. I definitely had to charge it every night. So, battery life was better for me on the LG Viper. However, if I had a 4G connection, or if you're in a 4G market, I assume they'll kind of even out. So you kind of have to take that into consideration whenever thinking about battery life. So speaking of pre-installed apps, we'll take a look at what you get out of the box here. Like I said, a lot more on the LG Lucid. You have App Manager, Guided Tours, Polaris Office, Rich Note, Setup Wizard, Voice Recorder, Finance, Weather, Netflix, Share Genie, Smart Share, Video Producer, Amazon Kindle, Backup Assistant, Let's Golf 3, tons of Verizon apps. It comes with several pre-installed apps out of the box, whereas with the LG Viper, it's not really as many. You have the standard Android apps and a couple that I've downloaded, but other than that, it's really not too bad, except for these basic Sprint apps, Sprint NASCAR, and then you do get Polaris Office, but then you have Sprint ID, Sprint Music Plus, Sprint NBA Mobile, Sprint TV, Sprint Zone, and then Telenav. So you do have some pre-installed apps, from Sprint on the Viper, but definitely not as much in comparison to the LG Lucid. So again, going back to memory, it's a lot more available to you out of the box with the Viper in comparison to the Lucid. So there it is, guys, LG Lucid versus LG Viper. If you are not in one of the 15 cities where Sprint just rolled out its LTE network, the LG Viper is a much better deal. It's cheaper. It's only $50 in comparison to $80, and if you're getting 4G in comparison to just 3G only. So for the price, the LG Lucid is definitely a much better deal. However, if you are in one of those 15 cities where Sprint has rolled out its LTE network, then the LG Viper should be great for you. Definitely a good option if you're on a budget. But there it is. I will let you decide. Let me know, what do you think? Which one do you think is better? Let me know in the comments. Keep it on phonedog.com for more dog fights, more reviews and news. I'm Sydney. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.